Welcome to Hamburg, where I'm getting a look at a car that started 25 years ago, believe it or not, and they've sold 5 million Priuses around the world. And if you're watching this in the UK, haha, because you're not getting this car. The reason is nothing to do with Brexit, let's not go there. It's because of sales. So things like the CHR, which stands for Coupe High Ride, we found out in this trip, just sells better. But in Ireland, we are getting the Prius, and it's also now a plug-in hybrid. So you'll be able to get somewhere between 70 and 86 kilometers on battery. It's got a 3.3 onboard charger, which could be faster. Things like the forthcoming new CHR with PHEV will do 7. So it'll take 4 hours. That's a bit of a disappointment, in my opinion. It should have, a faster onboard charger. But it is a much sexier looking car. Let's call a spade a spade. There's lots of curves and angles, a lovely sloping nose. It still has that kind of coupe vibe, but it's just, it is a Toyota and it's a Prius that you could actually sort of say, God, that's kind of sexy. This is Tokyo Gold is the name of the colour. It's going to cost about €46,000 in Ireland. Some of the technical stuff, they haven't really changed the actual dimensions of the car, but the proportions are different in this version of the new Prius. So they've changed how the battery, where it sits in the car, it's now under the rear seats, which gives you better centre of gravity, makes the car handle better. That's a wheelie bin in the background, nothing to do with the car. And they've been able to move the fuel tank because of that as well. So you get better kind of boot setup as well. So interior space is better. The wheelbase is longer. So the overhangs at the end of the car, it all translates into better interior space essentially. It's definitely a lower down car, but it hasn't necessarily impacted on headroom. And then if you come around the back of it, it has this little bit of a black strip that is reminiscent of the previous gen Prius. And I mean, when you look at the first car in 1998, which was the world's first mass-produced hybrid, Toyota reminded us this morning. And just again, the loads of glass all the way down to the back, small boot spoiler, huge Prius letters here, and a car that's just, you can see as we're filming today here in Germany, it's getting an awful lot of interest. People are doing double takes, and that never happened, obviously, with the Prius before. Is this car going to be a taxi driver's choice? Now, the price of it potentially will rule it out. You're not going to be eligible for grants because it's not a full BEV. A certain lady called Caroline Kidd, you should watch her videos on CarZone and Changing Lanes, has beautifully demonstrated if you are to put some gear in the Prius, this is the kind of space that you're going to get. So you've got a kind of a small weekend bag, Caroline's jacket here, and her lovely grey handbag. So we've still got space for probably another couple of cases, and down below you have this kind of stuff, which is generally from recycled places, and I'm sure the carpets are reused fishing nets. It seems to be the choice for just about everybody. Oh, and that's flexible. That's good, because if you do use bigger bags, that can kind of mold around it. So definitely a more sleek design. Depending on the alloys you get, these are 19s. That will also affect your range if you are in the plug-in hybrid version of the Prius. What's it like at the back? If you've ever been a passenger, potentially you don't remember the journey home in the Prius because it might have been a really late night or early morning. But again, this car is, I think, going to appeal to more than just taxi drivers now. So let's check out the back. So, well, it wouldn't be a Toyota without a fairly black, dark interior. However, I love that in this version of the car, you get 2 sunroofs with a bar across the center of it, and that helps create an illusion of space, if nothing else. You do get an armrest, a couple of cup holders, 2 USB-C chargers down here, a reasonably flat floor, and as Toyotas go, because some of the cars are a little bit thrifty when it comes to leg room, not the case in the back of this car. There's good knee and foot space. The bench, rear bench, does sit down low, however, so it kind of stretching out your legs to get a bit of thigh support if that's an issue for you. But decent enough headspace. It's like that. Taller passengers might want to, I don't know, move more into the middle of the seat just to get a bit more headspace. But overall, it's pretty decent. Well, if this is going to be a workhorse vehicle for you, this is where you're going to spend a huge amount of your time, obviously. And it feels very good. It's quite a large steering wheel. There's lots of buttons staring at you and an infrared monitor that will keep an eye on things. But that is useful because it's linked to things like the ambient lighting in the car. It will flash to tell you, hey, move on if you're not paying attention. I've seen this in quite a few premium cars recently, things like the Range Rovers, but a video stream rear view camera, a Lexus feeling center console here with your gear shifter, plenty of drinks, space. Armrest is all right. There's 2 additional USB-C chargers here, so it's actually 6 in total. So if you were carrying passengers and wanted to charge their devices on the move, that would make you a very sound taxi person because you'd be able to charge things. Really big widescreen, little Prius emblem here. Physical buttons. I don't ever see a day where Toyota will ditch physical buttons. It's just not going to happen. Chatting to some of the guys at dinner last night who work in Toyota for years and years and years, and we were chatting to a lady called Fiona who's from Northern Ireland, and she is in charge of research and development in Toyota. So it's pretty cool to see a lady from Ireland in that kind of space of job. And she was just explaining the culture of Toyota and how they're quite a conservative company. They will go with things from a presentation point of view that maybe would appeal in the European market, and they'll bring it to Japan and they might just go, no, we don't like that, you're not doing it. Or then it could be a case of, oh, we love this, yes, let's do this, and let's also bring this to some of the features in the Japanese market. So I don't think there's going to be a day anytime soon that they're going to ditch those physical buttons. Plenty of information for the driver here also, so it's not a head-up display, but gives you that sense of where the positioning of it is. Loads of buttons for activating the plugs on board the car for charging devices. You can operate the boot here. Heated steering wheel. Again, these are things that will depend on the model you go for. Definitely an improvement. You might remember the last gen and before it was kind of a center info that swept all the way in. Very modern feel to this version of the Prius. And while we're not in leather seats, and again, you might want to have leather seats for the price and the durability if you are using this car as a taxi, they are comfortable. So definitely an improvement in the textures and the feel and the sensory stuff when you sit into the new version of the Prius. So we're on kind of cobble-locked streets here in Hamburg, kind of down what feels like their docks area, and it's particularly comfortable and quiet, and the suspension is handling. This is like driving down Coronation Street, but longer, if you get me, or Temple Bar. Not that you can drive too much of that anymore, but you get the point. So it is quite a smooth car. It's very, very quiet. When you give it the beans, you kind of get this weird whine out of it. It's it's not strained or anything. It's just unusual sound. It seems to be spotting pedestrians and things like that everywhere. So good visibility all around the vehicle. Really wide windscreen. It's also quite a wide car. Like you're kind of coming out of car parks and things like that, and it's quite a little bit hard to judge exactly where the nose of the car is. It feels quite wide, although Toyota say they haven't changed the actual dimensions of the vehicle. One thing that they won't tell us is the usable size of the battery. So it's 13.6 kilowatt hour battery on board for the PHEV, but that's the gross amount of battery. So the actual bit you get to use for your range, they won't tell us. It's been a bit strange. Haven't encountered that before. So it's like your typical electric sound, but there's enough. It's like kind of a futuristic vibe going on. I'm also doing a loop of the keys here in Hamburg because the sat nav is a little bit, it's like, is it that lane or is it the one beside it? So That's right. But anyway, it's a perfect kind of city environment to test this car. You know, it can do motorway speeds in electric mode, but this kind of stop-starting traffic is probably where a lot of little Priuses are going to live their lives. So what better way to do it than kind of, it's not quite rush hour traffic, it's about 9:45 here in Germany. We've got to go to the airport as well, so boot down. So it's quite low to the ground. Actually, I've never driven the other versions of the Prius. I have been that passenger, probably like you as well, watching, having been in the back. And there's good all-round space. Again, if you were sitting in this all day, is it a comfortable place to sit? I think so. There's no harsh plastic hitting off my knee. Armrest is good. There's the car pulling away, and I get this flash of the ambient lighting to say, hey, move, which is always handy. Some of the new Toyotas as well, the ambient lighting, to make you feel like you're cooling down. If you make the aircon colder, the ambient lighting goes blue. Isn't that nice? That's a nice feature, isn't it? That's another thing. Have we taken another wrong turn? Oh my God.
But I was saying go right and you can't go right there. You'd literally go across the barrier.
It's bringing us on a loop, I think, is it? Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the sat nav. I think I'd probably just use my CarPlay. Have you got Google Maps there, Caroline?
Yeah.
Great.
So can I get
There's a nice Audi S3. So yeah, I think just the roads are just a little bit. Now I'm in an unfamiliar city. I will give it that, but some of the roads are just too close together, and it's kind of it's disorientating. It's like, is it this left or is it? It's making us do a loop again.
Will I cancel that?
It loves cobble streets.
Next right.
Like,
Then your destination will be ahead on the left-hand side.
must be a waypoint. Okay. Well, we can vouch for the suspension. It's very good on bumpy surfaces.
Oh gosh, well look, we found another Prius.
We found another Prius, but they're also probably lost. Hello from my side, as they like to say in Deutschland and other places on the continent. So look, it's very smooth, it's very refined, it's sexy on the outside. I can't believe I'm saying that Prius is sexy, but here we are. It's 2023 and Priuses are sexy cars now. I will get to drive this car in Ireland in a couple of weeks' time. Be interesting just to see what it's like on our roads. I don't really anticipate it being, you know, a different beast or anything. And at least I'm on my way around, which is always helpful when you're driving a car. Time for a summary. Thanks for coming with me this far on today's video. Very interesting car, very different to what's gone before it. And it is, in my opinion, I was saying earlier on how conservative Toyota can be. You know, the CHR, the new version, which will be on the channel next Monday when the world premiere embargo lifts. I mean, it's a very radical design. It's, again, a car that I think you could actually go, God, like, is that a Prius? It's gorgeous. Get a brighter colour in it. Don't be afraid of the brighter colours. I'm sure it will look great in silver, but this is just so striking. Now, a New York cab colour, you can see it kind of just being ready to go with that colour. But it's, you know, just, it doesn't have to be a public service vehicle to have this gorgeous Tokyo gold colour. Price is an interesting one in Ireland, as I said, about 47,000 euro. It's not a cheap car, and again, it's quite a different price offering compared to the previous version. So it'll be interesting to see who this new market of Prius people are going to be. Can you use it as a perfect family car? Yeah, the boot's a little bit small in the PHEV version of the car. It's 2-litre petrol, by the way, working in tandem with that, and it will be very efficient even when that range, that charge, is depleted. It'll do up to 130 kilometers in electric mode, and it's limited to 180 kilometers just for a reference point of view. Not that you'd be doing that kind of speed. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the new Prius. Is it something that you double take at? And I will talk to you on the next one.